confetti and balloons everywhere. I don't know who's got to clean this up, but what a party. We are rocking it. Hey, look at that, though, over there. Is that Eric Comrie? Valaquette? I saw Valaquette earlier. This is an unbelievable celebration that we've got going. The 300th episode of InGoal Radio, the podcast, and we got everybody together. Bill Ranford. Hey, Billy, just recording right now. It's all right. I'll catch up with you in a second. Welcome, guys, and congratulations to Kevin Woodley and David Hutchison.
And Darren Millard.
Come on, wouldn't be here without you.
From the beginning, my friend, when we decided to launch this podcast, would not be without you where it is now. 300 episodes. This is pretty exciting stuff. We made it.
6 years. 6 years.
Can I retire now?
No, because there's a chance, because Lou's flight got delayed. He's not going to be here for, sounds like 45 minutes, and he may need a ride from the airport. And you did the interview with Roberto Luongo. So I told him that you were on standby to pick him up.
First one ever in the car with Lou. That was we've had him on twice, which means we have the record for Roberto Luongo on podcasts.
One of my favorite episodes was Casimir. Remember that?
Kaskasuo.
Sure do.
That was early. That was early days.
He was in Toronto, and now I follow him all the time on social media. Really cool. There's been a few along the ways. And we also got to thank our partners over at the Hockey Shop, Source for Sports Langley, thehockeyshop.com. They have been with us in lockstep from the earliest goings.
Absolutely. Our gear segments every week, them as the sponsor of our podcast. During some lean years where you couldn't go into a store to get equipment, stuck with us through that. It's been quite the adventure. So thanks to Chad Purdy and the crew, Cam, over at the Hockey Shop for being a part of the journey.
They've changed locations. Like moved into a new building since we've been doing this.
They had a fire, moved stores, moved back, and now moved to it all during their sponsorship of the InGoal Radio podcast. All those things have happened while they were sponsors of this podcast.
And there's so much
Darren's
fun.
changed locations too.
Oh yeah.
Where were you for episode 1?
Yeah, I've won a Stanley Cup since we did this.
There you go.
Not a big deal.
My desk used to be over there on that side of the room.
No, it's been amazing. Part of me thinks 300 is lower than I thought we would be over the number of years, 8 years that we've been doing this. And don't 6? No, it's more than 6. I've been in Vegas for 6.
No, see, here's where you guys forget.
Way back when.
The pandemic slowed things down, including regular episodes of the podcast. We didn't go weekly for a while. We had a few breaks in there. Much like the NHL, we had to hit pause a couple of times. Yeah. But we are still here. 300, you know what? 300 is a massive number in the NHL for goalies. I know a lot of guys have that as a career goal for wins. Like 300 is a really big deal. Just like playing 500 games for a goalie in the NHL is sort of the equivalent of 1,000 for a player from a milestone perspective. 300 is a big number, and we're there.
Do you guys have a favorite episode?
Yes.
Okay. Let's get into it in just a little bit because I'm curious to see.
Oh, I thought you were going to.
No. It's a tease because I have one of those episodes where that's just stuck with me over the years. Actually, 2. One that put a guy on my radar, and now he's a star in the National Hockey League. Another one that just offered a lesson. But let's tell everybody about what's going on with the Goalie School Guide as we celebrate advancements and content out of InGoal Mag.
Darren, it's been an incredible ride. It's not surprisingly the number 1 visited page on ingoalmag.com in the last couple of months is the guide to goalie schools and coaches. It comes in 2 forms. It's the magazine style flip book where you can get in there and get some great original articles like an interview with Marc-Andre Fleury. You can get a sample of pro reads with a Joseph Wool one, the video right there embedded into the magazine. And if you feel like searching and getting into the nitty gritty of each school, there's the online directory as well. So you can go in there and say, find me a goalie school in Toronto. And it'll give you the listings of the coaches that work with us. More than 160 schools represented in each format. It's just been a great way. We wanted to have a service where parents or goaltenders could find the next coach they want to work with, inspired by some of the great stories on the podcast, like one of my favorite episodes where we learned about Thatcher Demko visiting different coaches as he played around North America in various youth tournaments. Well, if you happen to want to follow that kind of a model, just head over to ingoalmag.com and you can type in where you're going for your next tournament and find a local coach and maybe reach out and get a lesson. Just a great resource. Glad we could bring it to you. If you're a coach and you're not in there yet, hit us up, coaches@ingoalmag.com. And if you're a parent or a goalie, head over there, check it out, ask some questions of the schools that are in there.
And I should add, as we celebrate the return of our goalie school guide after a 10-year hiatus, the cover story is one Marc-Andre Fleury. We're well into episode 300, and we've forgotten to remind that Marc-Andre Fleury is our guest today. Future first ballot Hall of Famer Marc-Andre Fleury is our guest for episode 300. Hey, I've been in journalism a long time. Nobody knows how to bury a lead like I do.
It's also on the show description. It's one thing I've learned about podcasts. You can kind of meander through that a little bit because there's the headline and then there's the opening of the actual podcast.
See there, Hutch, this is why he's the pro. Not to mention we've been teasing Flower as our feature guest for episode 300 for about 5 episodes now.
Mm-hmm. It's at least 5 episodes. Going back a long way. Hey, Jeremy Swayman just walked in. That is really cool.
Hey, Sway.
This thing is awesome. I love this. Yep. Tickets over there, or I'll take all the food you want, Jeremy. And again, if you got time, if you got a chance, stop by. But we're just going to get through the gear segment right now. We are talking about the Warrior Chesty as we're on a Warrior run.
We are on a Warrior run because there's a whole bunch of new equipment from Warrior. New stick coming in the near future. We showed you the pants, tons of gear. It's that time of year where it all comes in at the Hockey Shop and thehockeyshop.com. All the new models. There's been a few in store already that we've already discussed, but eFlex 7 is coming. The new Bauer Vapor line is coming, and that means 2 things. 1, great reviews of the new content each week here on the gear segment as part of the podcast and over on our YouTube channel. Be sure to go check it out there. But also sales on the past editions of the equipment. Last week we did the Warrior pants. Told you all about the surprising, dare I say shocking, move away from the flat front of the traditional or what had been the past couple of generations of Warrior pants. Well, those flat front ones are now on sale. Anytime we roll out new gear, you can count on the old stuff being on sale at the Hockey Shop and thehockeyshop.com. So as we continue through with that this week with the Warrior Ritual X5 chest protector lines, make sure you check out thehockeyshop.com. If the past generation happened to be your favorite, you can stock up on that. They've got sales going on, coming through Easter, tons of sales on past merchandise as they make room. They may have 30,000 square feet of space at the new Hockey Shop location, but it's still not enough for all the gear on the wall, so they got to make room for the new stuff by getting rid of the old, and that can be a great opportunity for you to save money on new equipment this offseason.
Rob Tallis said after we're done with the party and the celebration, he does want to go over to the Hockey Shop just to check it out because he's heard so much about everything on the podcast. So keep that in mind before everybody scatters at the end of the night that Tally needs a lift over there. All right?
Hey, Tally's from the area. I remember taking part in an alumni skate with the Surrey Eagles, which is just down the road, and seeing his picture on the wall, so he would be very familiar with the guys over at the Hockey Shop.
The Warrior Chesty in the gear segment brought to you by the Hockey Shop. Source for sports Langley, thehockeyshop.com. Here is Cam and Woody.
Welcome back to the Hockey Shop, source for sports. I'm in goalie Utopia, once again with my friend, Cam Howell.
You have friends.
I
Look
do.
At that.
I
Look
do.
at that.
It was an emotional moment for me.
I know. It's good.
I don't know whether I was choked up over admitting I had a friend or you were one of them. The Ritual RX5. We got new.
Yes.
It's that time of year.
Yes.
New stuff from
Yes.
Warrior.
Yes.
I noticed that you held on to the higher end one and you gave me the second price point. I'm assuming that's a judgment
Just
of
a
my
high-end friend over here. It's
my
okay.
abilities. But let's walk me through what's new, different. I mean, I'm seeing things that jump out right away that we've seen on other, but I'm going to let you take the floor, Cam.
Jump out, but also camoed out. with that camo kind of style colorway. So, bit of a departure from Warriors previous with black and yellow. Now, black, gray, green.
Okay.
More of that hidden kind of style look. Kind of falling a little bit in line with some of their player gear that has that same kind of color pattern and palette. But let's go over what's new. So,
Features. I want features.
Yeah, features. Well, first of all, Warriors dropped the line for senior from 4 chests down to 2. So you have the RTL, which is the top end, elite level price point, and then the Pro, which is the mid-level price point.
Oh.
Yes, we've been back to this. We've talked about this before.
I'm not going to rant on this time, but
we have covered it.
the assumption would be that Pro is highest end, but okay, Pro is second
Other
price
companies
point.
do
Other
this
companies
as
have
well.
done it.
Yes.
Y'all drive me mad with this, just so you know.
Okay, so back to the RTL. So basically, Warriors boiled down their chest protector line to be able to kind of create and amalgamate, all of their different units into one. So before we had Pro and Pro Plus, for example, Pro being a little bit more tapered fit, with the Pro Plus being a little bit more based off of coverage. So now you see kind of both of those things sandwiched into one chest protector.
Okay.
Here. So overall features. Yeah, one thing that I noticed right away off this unit is just the overall level of. It feels like a top quality Pro unit. I think is the best way to describe it. There's a little bit of weight to it, but it's not one of those things that would be like, oh, this feels heavy by any means.
Well,
But
and
it
if
feels
you hold
substantial.
if you hold it out here versus when it's fitting around your body, you're
and
going to
actually
notice
hanging
a
off your
difference.
shoulders. That's
Yeah,
correct.
exactly.
So we could start right away with the topic of protection. So difference between RTL and Pro. RTL is going to feature their hypercomp material, so their carbon enhanced impact reducing
Whereabouts?
all over.
Okay.
Good way to feel it too as well. So you can feel it even underneath the arm floaters
so you
here.
can see it in the arm floater.
So it's not
you can
necessarily
compare
visible
the
there.
two.
Yeah,
There's a little bit of visual call out there. See the
exactly. And
thick-
that's where you
thickness.
start to see some of those differences kind of between the two, right?
Okay.
So moving on in terms of the adjustability aspect side, which is something that's definitely worth super highlighting. It's always been a very key feature of Warrior Chest. However, one thing that we really like and call for is that ease of arm adjustability right out of the box. This used to be something that you would find on the intermediate level chest protectors, the ability to pull that arm up easily, nice wide patch of high quality Velcro to be able to adjust that arm on the fly, say when we're fitting you in store, and or if you order one online and want to dial in your arm fit. Very easy to do, very easy to adjust. Great system, now featured on both of the senior units as well, trickling all the way down through to intermediate and junior as well.
Look, I made mine shorter really quickly, so it's kind of like you when the check comes. Little tiny arms.
I don't have to pay the bill, that's your job.
Okay.
So, cover edge as well. Now we're talking about some of the coverage style of the chest protector. Warriors put a nice big block that is removable.
Okay, so
by the way.
and we see this in the second price point as well.
Yes. Be able to puff up those shoulders if you wish, or if you want them a little bit more tapered, you take that block out and then pull it tight up against. So it'll give you that kind of rounded fit overall.
What do they call that? I know we already call the cuff on the glove the cheater, but that baby's I like that.
Listen, if you're looking for a little
that.
bit extra height by the shoulders, definitely something you can find in this unit.
I'll take every little bit of coverage I can get. Thank you very much. I like that.
Warrior has also paid a lot of attention to the reverse VH position in particular and added a lot of extra protection and coverage at the back of your arm to be able to make sure that you're covered in those areas as well when you're in that saddle position. Nice extension of that overall bicep pad basically to have it wrap around closer to the back of your arm to the tricep. A nice back tricep pad. It's thicker in the RTL versus the Pro, but it's still there. So again, you're getting a lot of that feature.
So a lot of
as well.
the features carry over to the second price point, just not maybe in the same level of materials.
Same level of material and same level of substantialness, we'll call it as well.
Same level of substantialness. Look at you inventing new phrases.
Hey, it's what we're here about. Nice hard plastic elbow caps. Again, giving you that protection so you did come down. I mean, these are great.
Some guy comes through your crease,
Yeah, we'll use that. We'll go with that.
elbows up.
So moving on to the back of the chest. Again, we see Warrior's familiar adjustability. No plastic buckles on the side. They still use that same Velcro system that we've seen before, along with removable belly extenders to, again, help you dial in your specific fit. In my opinion, this chest will do tuck and untuck.
Ooh, make
depending
sure you go
on your
check out our old
preferences.
video on tuck or untuck in those preferences.
Yes. One last thing to really call out too as well. I really actually like these. Here, we can't use the word cheater again. What are we going to call it?
Oh, that's actually a pretty thick
Yeah.
piece of high density foam there.
So as you got to go seal up,
Just a little extra rigidity to make sure that puck
something
don't
else
squeak
gets to
through.
catch there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Cam, I got to say, this is a pretty good review. Nothing squeaked through you on this one.
No, and almost
one more.
forgot.
Almost.
It almost did. But again, if you wish to pull the suspenders over top of your shoulder floaters,
Once again, we've got an entire video on that.
you do have that option to be able to lock it down.
Simple, effective. Okay, we talked about pro level and pro on the name. Once
Yes.
again, a personal pet peeve. Let's talk about price. Highest end?
800,
Ish.
480-ish.
Canadian folks, so if you're watching this from the United States, this product will ship across the border, and our dollar's not worth quite as much as yours, so it's a lot cheaper.
You have options. So, tight line, like it a lot. Definitely something worth checking out this year if you're after a brand new chest protector.
Perfect. Warrior, Ritual, RX5, RTL, and Pro. See, I got that right.
Whatever your ritual is, check out this one.
Questions about fit? Where do they get you?
604-589-8299
You almost forgot that, didn't you?
or 1-800-567-7790.
Nicely done, Cameron.
Yes. Or thehockeyshop.com.
So the pants, the flat front pants. If you're looking for pants right now, would you go down that path? Did you love them that much? Like the past generation, the most previous generation of pants from Warrior?
It's a good question, Darren. I haven't been in them in a while, but I did like them when I had them. And so if I was, I think I told this last week when we did the pants, as opposed to the chesty this week, that it reminded me of when they changed the rules on wedges for golf, right? Like they changed the groove so you couldn't have as much spin on it. You're darn skippy. I went out and bought a whole second set of wedges with the old cheater groove so I could have more spin around the greens.
Did you use them though? Like did you actually use those wedges, or did they just sit in your garage?
No, 100% I use them because eventually wedges are like goal sticks, Darren. Eventually they wear out. So you got to have a practice wedge and a game wedge.
Do you practice? Or is it just your warm-up wedge?
Wait, is it my warm-up wedge? I don't quite have a warm-up wedge, but there was a time when I played enough golf and when you were thinking about things like spin and grooves, where you would for sure take the old ones to the range and have the fresh grooves in the bag when you played around. I come by my warm-up stick very naturally.
Darren, I can attest that this is all very real. I have watched the sweet swing of Kevin Woodley so many times. I haven't seen a sweeter swing since Jim Furyk.
I knew the Furyk line was
smooth. It's like he is not exaggerating. Everything Kevin talks about with golf, he can deliver.
He sucks at golf, by the way. Kevin sucks at golf, I will say that. But there was a time pre-kids where he used to manage to play enough damn rounds of golf to get into the sort of just above single digit area, just around a 10. That's as good as I can get. Now I suck, but that doesn't mean I suck at goaltending too, and I still have a warm-up stick.
I've come around to your warm-up stick. I have come around to that. Absolutely. But you're not good enough to be having multiple wedges and warm-up wedges.
I'm not good enough to have a warm-up stick, Darren, but it doesn't stop me from doing it.
No, warm-up sticks cost-effective. That makes sense. If I'm a parent, I'm having my kids have practice sticks and game sticks. It's just, that's the reality of it. They're not $30 sticks anymore. Or
they are
close to that. So
definitely not.
A parent segment right there. Cut, print. Thank you very much. Stop at Goaltending You, the app.
And if you got to tape them up or put a stick protector on the shaft protector, I'm in favor of that for practice sticks.
You should use those old road hockey ones. Remember the goalie part was just plastic and then it attached to an old shaft of a wooden stick.
Yeah.
You're never going to break that thing when you're practicing with the Knights.
Listen, I can attest, though, to Darren's point, Hutch, when we were at Hockey Alberta this weekend, for their U15 elite camp as part of our new partnership with Hockey Alberta, I noticed a number of kids that in the on-ice sessions with some pretty good shooters, because goalie coaches can rip it, a number of kids had sticks that clearly had been repaired in and around some are on the shaft, but even on the paddle, a number of them, you sort of saw that blacked out. And should have asked them for more details on the type of repair they were doing, but clearly not bringing out the freshest twigs for the practice style session.
Well, I've gone to a warm-up stick and practice stick. I use stuff that I don't mind breaking there, and then I save my good ones for my high level Saturday morning at 7 o'clock. And then the Sunday morning with the LVPD.
Morning skates, you're in the big time when you get morning ice.
I know. It's awesome. It's awesome too. The gear segment dealing with the Warrior Chesty and Warrior. So that got us onto that subject. Stop It Goaltending You, the app, presents our parent segment. And we've joked around about a couple of different ways to go with this because we've already offered some advice. But the direction, because it's episode number 300, is a little more reflective today on the Stop It Goaltending You, the app parent segment, as Stop It Goaltending You has come on board during the course of this journey to 300.
Yeah, they're one of our newer sponsors as we got going, and they've been a great, I shouldn't even say sponsor, because it's more of a partnership. Because every time you buy a subscription to the Stop It Goaltending You, the app, you get their great content and our great content from InGoal Premium. You get a full membership to InGoal Premium, as well as new weekly content from the Stop It Goaltending You app and their 25 years of goalie coaching experience. You get daily primers, so think of it as a Monday to Friday, 1 minute every day, just things to get you thinking about goaltending in different ways. This week's are takeaways from the NCAA Frozen Four tournament, obviously. Brian DeCord, the founder of Stop It Goaltending and a big part of the Stop It Goaltending You, the app, was there. His team, Boston University, made it to the Frozen Four final, so 5 different takeaways. There's also a 5-minute video if you want to deep dive a little more into box control is part of their Goalie 101 series. That's new this week. A full goalie IQ breakdown, including footage comparing the styles and and tactical preferences of Jake Ottinger and Mackenzie Blackwood as they meet in the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs, and a drill of the week, new 2-player behind the net with pass out options. They walk you through a new drill each week. They've added that in the past couple of weeks. So lots of content, all available on the Stop It Goaltending You, the app. And of course, as we said, in addition to their content, you get our content. A membership to InGoal Premium comes with your membership to Stop It Goaltending You.
And the parent segment has been an ad along the way.
Yeah, we added it on 56 episodes ago. I was really hoping when I went and looked that up, Darren, that it would be a nice round 50 that came along with episode 300, but not so exciting.
What were you doing for the first 246?
Just riding your coattails. And then I thought maybe I should contribute something. So I came up with my own segment and a way that I could get the word in first before Woody got a chance. But he always jumps in there. Look, his finger's up to talk already. Here we go.
This is like me bringing the beer to my beer league team. There's no way they can get rid of me as a goalie if I bring the beer. This is Hutch and the Parent segment.
I am the beverage boy for the InGoal Radio podcast. I love it. By the way, I have to collect your dues from both of you, or you're not going to be able to skate next week.
Tallis has got mine. Tally's got mine.
Okay. Thanks, Tally, get it to me after, will you, buddy? Nope, here we go. 56th edition, Sergei Zubov's old number 56 it is this week. I just wanted to reflect, guys. I was thinking a little bit about what's happened over the last 300 episodes. Not so much just the parent segment, but what were some good episodes of the 300 that resonated with me for when parents, I meet them in the rink and they say, oh, what's been an interesting conversation you've had on the show? And as a parent, I always think about all sorts of different episodes, and you guys both know that I've got a terrible memory, but the fact that these ones resonate with me maybe means something, but you probably have some of your own that have popped up over the years, guys. One of the ones that I still tell people about is way back in episode 3, and that was Thatcher Demko, when he was talking with Kevin about all the routines that he had as a college goalie and the amount of time he had to invest in getting ready for every game, and a realization when he got to the pros that he just couldn't do it all. And I found that for parents a fascinating episode, both because you heard about all those different routines, but also that you learn that we need to be a little sane in what it is that we do. And every goalie tries to do so much. And as parents, we try to give our kids every opportunity we possibly can. And in trying to be really good to them, sometimes maybe we give them too much to worry about, too much to think about. And of course, he also talked about, as I mentioned earlier, traveling around the country and working with other coaches. So shout out to the directory if you'd like to do that. I also just want to mention episode 167 with Strauss Mann was one of the first ones that I fired off to my son to listen to in recent years. And he talked about the same sort of thing, all the different resources, all the different ways he wanted to learn. But he again mentioned sometimes you need to pare it back. You just need to realize you can't do it all. So those are two great ones, I thought, guys. Of course, we can't forget Brian DeCord. He is the goalie parent. He's sort of the head of the union of goalie parents. He's been in several episodes. The one that he was in where I interviewed him, we really got to riff a lot on being a goalie parent. Brian, of course, as you know, he's been an NHL scout. He's been an NHL goalie coach, a director of goaltending. But now he's the parent of an NHL goalie, Joey, in Seattle. And he literally wrote the book, How to Be a Goalie Parent. So goalie parents, go check that out. With this episode, I usually provide notes with the parents segment in the episode notes, but I will also include links to all of these ones that I'm reflecting on and anything else that the guys come up with in a second. The other one I was thinking about was the Q&A we did with Ian Clark at Tendy Fest a couple of years ago. You can listen to it in podcast form, but you can also see the video of that Q&A over at InGoalMag.com. I thought it was fantastic because Ian just tells it like it is. He tells you what they're really looking for in professional goaltenders. And then he answers questions from some kids and from some parents. I think it's a really good one to sort of anchor your view as a goalie parent. And you may not agree with everything Ian has to say, but it really gets you reflecting. In a similar vein, Woody and I were lucky enough to sit down with Bill Ranford. Billy, thank you very much. In his kitchen, definitely a highlight memory episode for me, but we got to direct some very specific goalie parent questions to him there. And then he came out to Tendy Fest last year and did a Q&A. Again, taking questions from kids, taking questions from parents. It's a must listen. It's a must watch as well. Video over at InGoalMag.com. I think that's a great one for parents as well. And then lastly, I just gave myself come up with 5. Definitely not least, and there are definitely others, was the episodes that Adam Francilia has been in on. He is, as you know, one of the top trainers in the game off ice for goaltenders, guys like, Connor Hellebuck, and he's part of the Alpha Sports Agency. He was also on with agent Ray Petco of Alpha Sports on one of the episodes, and Ray's been on the parent segment too. I just think they give you great background about the game away from the ice, both training, maybe in a way that not every trainer out there does, in a very specific goalie way. And of course, Ray answered a lot of great questions about agents for kids, and that's a common one that comes up with goalie parents all the time. So those were 5 episodes that I think parents might want to go back to, guys. 5 things that have stood out for me over the last 300. Does anybody have anything like to add to that list? Parents, you can send me a note, parents@ingoalmag.com. Tell me which episodes you think are must listens for parents. But Woody and Darren, any stand out for you?
I love hearing from the listeners, the parents or the goaltenders, yourself. It's awesome. I was grabbing a coffee at City National Arena the other day before I went upstairs to do my radio show. Just happened to be at the counter with the goalie parent, and he was talking about the challenges of finding good coaching and the journey and how much his son loves it. And I said, well, have you ever been turned on to the InGoal? And he was new to it. So I spelled it out for him. We found the website. And I said, Pro Reads is awesome, and the podcast will give him all kinds of insight. It's something that you guys can do together. And I hear that so much from people. So keep those responses coming. What you like, what you'd like to hear more of. And if there's anything that we can help you in this journey of goaltending. So that's kind of cool. Woody, what stands out to you from episode standpoint, review point?
I think I got 3. So I know this is going to absolutely shock both of you.
I bet he goes 5.
I have 2 fewer than Hutch. Well,
we'll see. But you'll speak 2 minutes longer than Hutch.
Ouch. Ouch. Okay, now I gotta. Sorry, I'm just.
Okay,
hold
you've
on.
got more to say than I do, Woody.
Give me a minute. I just gotta scratch out some of the notes I made so I can keep it tight. Definitely the first one, Darren. You mentioned Luongo in the car, and what a great experience that was. And not knowing at the time, even after our second one, but up until very recently, we were the only podcast that Roberto Luongo had ever done. He had a no podcast policy, and we were the first two that he ever did. And the first one was in the car that day, and the looks we got driving back into the city to drop him off at the Panthers Hotel, pulling up to intersections and having people next to us look over and see Roberto Luongo holding a microphone as we had a conversation back and forth. I will never forget that. But also because Sonia DiBiase was a part of episode 1, and the experience, that she shared from that interview, from her time breaking into the industry, giving us a look behind the scenes on the equipment industry. It was a fascinating interview. Remember talking about going to automotive shows to look for new materials that they might be able to use in pads. Her time working with Brian Heaton and then into CCM. Sonia DiBiase has been one of our biggest supporters in the early years when she was still with CCM, and, just sort of almost took us by the hand and brought us into the industry side, sort of welcomed us in, taught us lessons along the way about how to behave, how to sort of navigate that side of things. And then in that interview, which was years later after sort of meeting her, but when we got her on the podcast, really showed the world just what a pioneering part of the equipment industry she had been. So I loved that one for both of those. My other two favorites, we spent close to an hour with Henrik Lundqvist after his final season. And Henrik was a guy who every time he came into town with the Rangers was very willing to talk goaltending. For all the demands on his time as a superstar in the league, he always found time for us at InGoal. Carey Price was very much like that as well, even though we didn't really have him on the podcast, for different articles over the years, answering Q&A questions. When we used to do the Q&A format, we'd solicit questions from readers ahead of a Carey appearance, and he always gave us time. Lundqvist giving us an hour is one of my favorite interviews, and I've heard that from a lot of other people. And now, last but certainly not least, as a matter of fact, I'd probably put it number 1 on the list, and interestingly enough, all Hall of Famers, so maybe a little biased towards the Hall of Famers. But it was the fact the three of us got to do the interview together. Martin Brodeur at the 2019 NHL Draft. Hutch, Darren, and myself in a hotel room ahead of the draft. Not a hotel room, a hotel lobby lounge area with the microphones going. Close to an hour of incredible stories about the position and his passion for it with Martin Brodeur. That was definitely one of my favorite episodes.
There's a lobby bar, but it was early in the morning, so the bar wasn't open. But I was very comfortable in that lobby bar. I forgot about that one. It's funny, I haven't heard from Marty, but who did just walk in was Jonas Enroth, and I didn't think Jonas was going to be able to make it. So that's cool. We have to make sure we get a picture with Jonas before we're done here today, because that's wild. Seeing all these people here today is outstanding. Jeremy Swayman is the guy, and he's here. And I've told him this before. I didn't know Jeremy Swayman before the appearance on InGoal Radio, the podcast,
when he was with the University of Maine.
Yes, and that was episode 67. And
wow.
Got to know him a little bit and just followed his career, and now he is who he is. So I tell him all the time, I knew you when. And then he tells me, he's like, yeah, but you didn't know me until then. So we have a good back and forth on that. And Eric Comrie, he's been on a couple of times, and Combs is so great. His personality is so much fun. But Eric telling us about going to public skates or stick and puck and working on crease movements, that gave me such latitude to explore my game and not feel self-conscious about looking for extra ice. And it was motivating, but liberating at the same time.
I love that. And don't forget Eric Comrie's somewhat famous playing partner with the Winnipeg Jets. Don't know if you've heard of him, Connor Hellebuck, another guy who went to stick and puck public skates in gear to get ready for his first tryouts in the North American Hockey League. So long before he became who he is. I think that's a great lesson from both of them. And you're right, Darren. permission, right? Like permission's from the best in the game to not feel silly, to go out to those environments and work on your skating. Because what have we heard throughout 300 episodes? If you can't move, you can't play in the NHL today. And if you can't get ice with a crease and shooters and a goalie coach, it doesn't mean you can't get ice. So I think that's a great one to add to the list, Aaron.
Episode 179 was the first appearance for Eric Comrie, and he's also been on just a couple of months ago on 280.
I was only bringing up parent-specific episodes, things I thought the parents might want to listen to. But since you have all gone into different territory, I need to throw in another Hall of Famer. Way back in episode 29, I've said it before, my favorite interview was sitting with the great Glenn Hall in his living room. Unfortunately, Glenn couldn't make it to the party today. He's back home at the farm in Stony Plains.
He's painting the
I
barn.
had the privilege, but I had privilege of visiting him along with my son Matthew and Eli Wilson, who kindly set up the discussion. We brought Glenn a case of beer, quite literally, and he said, "Are we just going to sit here and look at those, or are we going to open them up?" And so I got the chance to sit and have a beer with one of the greatest. If you are new to the game of hockey, go look up Glenn Hall. Go listen to that episode. He played over 500 consecutive games without taking a night off, most of them with a mask, and he's got quite the sense of humor as well.
Sorry,
How about another one that you guys did without me in Hall of Famer? Bernie Perrant.
Miller, we're good. Ryan, I'm good. Just Miller's holding up a glass, wondering if I need a refill. Sorry, what were you saying about Bernie?
Another Hall of Famer. You guys did that interview without me, but I forgot about all these Hall of Famers we have.
It was
one of my great selfies that I took, where I wasn't going to take the selfie, and that I did at the NHL Awards in 2017. I was backstage, and I was hosting the expansion draft for the Vegas Golden Knights. Oddly enough, end up in Vegas, working for them. And Bernie came up to me. I've told this story. Came up, and he had his script in his hand because he was presenting the Vezina that night. And he said, "They want me to say crap. I can't go out there and say crap." And I looked at him. No, it's craps. It's a gambling term. That's what they want you to say. It's like, so I should say crap? Like, well, it's plural to S. So he walks away. I'm like, hold on, Bernie, come back. And I took a selfie with him, and it's on my wall of fame. And I've got a replica of one of his masks in my office. Crap. I can't say crap.
I love it.
A good Bernie Perrant impression. But
we still haven't taken him up on that invitation to go fishing.
Fishing.
So we need to make the trip out there. Maybe we can have a future episode from the boat, almost as good as Woody's episode from the car.
Well, Miller's trying to get me out surfing, so I would rather do that than the fishing. But I'll go along for both.
That's what happens when
you go with you, but he's scared of the sea turtles.
That's what happens when you finish your career in Anaheim after 20 some odd years in the league. You become a surfer.
That dude, he stayed in shape. I tell him, I said, I can't hang out with you because he's just Ryan Miller's still in such good shape.
And one of my favorite parts of his podcast interview was talking about how at the end of each season, he would spend time trying to sort of get his body back into human shape, because goalie shape and the form and the posture that he had to hold throughout the season was so much different than what we use in everyday life. So there are so many lessons throughout all these podcast interviews. There's a reason that, I don't know if I have permission to say which team, but there is a team whose development director on the goaltending side tells his prospects to listen to every single episode because they will come away with something that will help them from these interviews.
Is that the same team that doesn't want their NHL goalies to do pro reads so they won't give away all their secrets?
Nope, because we've had their goalies on pro reads.
That's true. That's true.
Are you guys going to share any of the actual names here?
In the green room afterwards, Darren.
Oh, okay. Well, we're kind of in the green room right now because that's a great party over there. You can probably hear the noise. Every now and then the slider door opens and you hear the rumbling out there because Ferguson was just, Dylan Ferguson, for those that don't know, Ferguson was just laughing about his time overseas. And you could tell because I could see what he was motioning, and I know the story. So Ferguson, he's off on his own. The guy loves to tell a story. And
I think we're gonna have to have a cleanup in that room too. I just heard Craig Anderson do a pad stack. Might have knocked over somebody's drink.
Oh, but how about Pete Fry leading everybody over there and eating raw liver? I couldn't believe people would show up for our party and be doing that with Pete.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to get out of the party. I'm hoping to get out of the party before he breaks out the firewalk.
Fry and I walked in together, and I haven't seen him since, by my own volition. I wasn't going near that. I said, I'll see. He goes, let's catch up. I'm like, oh, yeah, for sure. No, I'm not going near that. Visual Edge. Been a great partner with us talking about Pro Reads.
And this week's guest on Pro Reads, presented by Visual Edge, is another favorite of the InGoal podcast audience, as well as over at Pro Reads, has been since his early days with the Ottawa Senators, now with the Seattle Kraken, Joey Decord. You heard us talk about his dad, Brian, and the role he's played in the development of InGoal as an entity over the years, sharing his opinions and insights into the position. Well, Joey does the same in this week's video session. Great look at managing high tips, both positionally and in terms of your movement pattern, using a lateral release to navigate a shot, sort of a slap pass from the top of the ice with a high tip option. Darren, let me ask you this. Where are you centering yourself relative to that tip option if you have to move to a side?
More to the middle of that shot. That's
okay.
where I look at it.
There you go. And so Joey talks about staying behind the pass, sort of behind the stick, not getting ahead of where that blade is, staying behind it on purpose.
Really?
And how that, because it normally gets tipped back into him. And so that's part of the discussion that Joey Decord has in this week's Pro Reads. And of course, you've got the video overlaid over top of it, a really good explanation from Joey on why he tries to stay behind the tip point on those types of slap passes across the middle, and why he uses a lateral release, which is kind of like a shuffle rather than a T-push. You're shuffling into that side of your movement, holding the lead edge, like holding some blade in the lead edge to control the movement so you don't overslide. Joey walks through the details of both of those in our latest Pro Reads, presented by Visual Edge. Pro Reads, as many know, where there's 300 of them online right now from InGoal. Much like the podcast, we have a lot of video featuring NHL goalies, all online at ingoalmag.com. It's all about showing goalies of every age how to read the game. Visual Edge is all about helping goalies see the ice so they can see the game better, whether it's tracking pucks into you or being able to scan the zone quickly and effectively. Convergence with pucks coming at you, divergence with the ability to scan. Just two of the many visual acuity, visual training things that Visual Edge helps you develop and improve. We heard Cam Talbot last week in his Pro Reads talk about finding pucks quicker and more effectively when he comes through screens and moving screens, all thanks to his work with Visual Edge. And of course, InGoal Premium subscribers, we've got a discount code for everyone, but InGoal Premium subscribers get an additional $5 off each month on their subscription to Visual Edge. So make sure you check it out at ingoalmag.com. We've got links in each Pro Reads to help you get a discount on helping you see the game better with our partners at Visual Edge.
Sammy Joe Small and I, two Manitobans, we were talking about things that you always hate. And by 10 minutes before we came on the air, we were over chatting, and we both said when somebody goes to tip it and they miss, and you're playing the tip, and it misses and it goes straight through, and you feel shame, and you know the coach is going to be mad at you. And Smalls was like, It's a good goal. You're doing everything right, and it goes in. So that's why I tend to err over on the tip puck side and not counting on them to make contact with the redirection.
Well, I just tend to err no matter what I do.
But I love that Sammy was on the same page when we were chatting, and that came out just organically. And now you're
and I think that applies great. But probably more to tips right in front of you as opposed to a high tip with a lateral movement, right? This is more like a slap pass in this week's Pro Reads. And that's just what this is all about. There are so many different situations, so many different ways to play them. When we were in Alberta last week in Calgary for the Hockey Alberta camp, I had a parent come up to me, and I am absolutely kicking myself. It was in the midst of a busy day, and for the life of me, I cannot remember this gentleman's name. I feel like it was Charles or his son was Charles, and now I'm just absolutely screwing it up. But my point is, he came up to me and talked about the kids all got a subscription as part of our new partnership to Pro Reads. And so one of the first things we did was introduce them to what it was like. And they hadn't seen these videos, Darren, yet. And so I showed them some examples, including how to manage screens, a little bit of blind plug with Joey Decord we talked about. There was just a handful of Pro Reads that we went through. And these kids, a lot of them that didn't know about InGoal Mag, didn't know about Pro Reads, I guess they went running to their parents afterwards like, we have to get this. We have to get access to this video. And the beauty is the parent said, yeah, you do. Thanks to Hockey Alberta and our new partnership, you automatically get a subscription to InGoal Magazine if you're in their elite program. So that was kind of a cool moment, but he also shared how much they listened to this podcast and how much it's helped both the parent and the goalie on the development side as they go through this journey together. So massive thank you for taking the time to flag me down in the hallway and share that story. Despite my inability to properly recall the names involved, I assure you it's just because there have been too many pucks on the head and that was a busy day, but the story and the sharing of it was sincerely appreciated. And I think there's a great lesson in there. We always assume that everybody knows what Pro Reads is all about. But if you don't, and you haven't got a glimpse of actually sitting in on NHL video sessions with NHL goalies as they walk through their process, there is so much value in it. Make sure you check it out at ingoalmag.com. As Hutch said, there's a free sample available right now if you check out the Joseph Woll one that is in the Goalie School Guide. You can see exactly what it's all about for free in our Goalie School Guide right now at ingoalmag.com. There's some great takeaways in that one and so many more over the years.
Turco loves free stuff. He'll get all over it. That guy's getting a chance to hang out with him today is just it never gets old. Nobody does impressions of goaltenders better than Turks. Like, he's just awesome at it. He can get dialed in and give you everything, and we'll see if we can do it without the equipment on. But even with the equipment on, he's great. So we're not going to have him throw on the gear right now.
Well, and the best part of inviting Marty Turco to a 300 episode celebration party is that he brings his Kingsville Canadian beer with him.
Yep. Yeah, good point. And we get to make fun of announcers too, because he loves making fun of announcers.
Most of them are goalies, so that works.
Oh, one of them wasn't, but the guys between the benches, he has some fun with that side of it. Our NHL Sensorina feature interview. It's the 300 episode party, the extravaganza that we're having here at InGoal Radio headquarters, and today it just is fitting with the celebration of Marc-Andre Fleury.
Yeah, let's celebrate 300 episodes by celebrating one of the great careers of the game. Top of the list, top 3, games played, wins. What a career. 3 Stanley Cups. I got to be small part on the media side of a bunch of it. I remember talking to Marc-Andre Fleury in his first year in the league. It was a game in Vancouver and was his last game before he went back from the Penguins on loan to the World Junior team for Canada. And one of his last stops in the National Hockey League during the regular season was here in Vancouver as well. And between those two, we had an opportunity to catch up and spend a little time with Flower, reflect on his career and the lessons along the way. Because if there is one thing that holds true about the greats that make it to the Hall of Fame, is a willingness to constantly evolve. They know what their foundation is, but they're not so stuck in their ways. They recognize that they have to keep learning, and Flower is one of those guys, and he shared a lot of those lessons in this interview.
Oh, guys, just wait. Hey, Dak, I just got to go do this. They're about to go to the interview. Sorry, guys. Let's not forget that this week's feature interview is brought to you by our friends at NHL Sensorina. And Darren, you were talking earlier about when you can't get ice, there's still ways that you can practice. Well, NHL Sensorina, obviously, fantastic way to do that. And just in time for the playoffs, guys, they have dropped an exciting new game mode. It's really cool. They've got 3-on-3 hockey on a full-sized rink. That means you can now compete for the Stanley Cup right from your living room, and you can play the game as a goalie, but you can also switch just by the click of a button to being a player as well and get out there and score goals. It's all possible in this new mode. And, we often talk on here, guys, about how goalies should experience being a forward or a defenseman. This new mode makes it super easy to switch and try both. So we encourage everybody to get out there and join one of the 16 Stanley Cup playoff teams, play your way through the best of 7 series, progressing round by round in sync with the real playoffs. You hoist the cup if you make it all the way. They're playing full 3-period games. You can choose between 3, 5, and 10-minute long periods. Like I said before, you can play as a forward or as a goalie, and you can switch at the press of a button. And in the controller-only mode, you don't even need a stick mount. So if you're a goalie and you haven't invested in that stick mount to be a player in Sense Arena, you can still do it with your Meta controllers and just get going. So head over to sensearena.com today, check out what they're doing, what they've changed, what they've added, and then go use that code IGM50 at checkout and get yourself a subscription to NHL Sense Arena.
It's funny. Reimer was asking me if we had a headset here, and I said no.
Oh, no, I've got mine. It's just over in the case here. Let's get them set up. Yeah, for sure.
He was asking about it.
Okay.
As we catch up with Marc-Andre Fleury, Hutch will take over with James Reimer. It's InGoal Radio, the podcast, the NHL Sense Arena feature interview with the future Hall of Famer.
I look at the career, and there's so many accolades. You've obviously passed a couple of big names this year. Second on wins list, second on games played. You're right behind Lou. Shutouts. Any of those as you hit these milestones? Are there any? Do you think about them at all now? Do you think you'll look back and think of one more than the others?
That's a good question. I can say I go every day thinking about I gotta play one more game and I'm catching up on the second guy or another win and I can get there, right? I think it's just the process, try to one day at a time, one game at a time, and coming into this season, I knew I could maybe pass Lou for the most game, and that's something I thought would be cool, right? Like to we're able to stick around for so long and do what I love for so long, and have that many games. I think that's pretty cool.
It's funny because when I've talked to him about it, there's one guy that he doesn't mind passing him. It's you.
Really?
Yeah.
Very kind of him. It means a lot too because I love Lou. I love watching him play and. Growing up, we weren't too far apart in age, but I saw him play from his junior career and on, right? So I got to see him on the ice a lot too, playing against him. So it always means a lot.
How have you managed the emotions of the big moments and the big games this season? Like the Montreal one, obviously, the spotlight was there. I'm just thinking, are there lessons like in terms of how you handle that we could maybe pass along for younger goalies? Because they're obviously not as big a moment for them.
Yeah.
But how do you as a goalie not get caught up in those things?
Yeah. Sometimes you would think after more than 1,000 games played, you don't stress or have butterflies too much, but I still do, right? And especially those nights, one in Pittsburgh, one in Montreal, I thought they were so. I want to do so well, right? For my family, for my friends, fans, right? And for my team, obviously. But so you get a little more nervous, a little more butterflies. But I feel with time, I've learned that it's not a bad thing, to be nervous, to have butterflies. It's normal. And for me, one thing that helps sometimes is just deep breath, having a couple deep breaths, inhale, hold it a little bit, blow out slow, and then thinking about just simple plays. And for me, I would tell myself if they're coming, I just have my hands in front, be set, be square, and just think about that, right? So you don't think about every other million things that can be in your head.
Is that something that you developed over time? Nowadays kids will learn breath work.
Yeah.
You'll see guys right up to the NHL write little things on their stick, little 3 words, breathe, have fun.
Uh-huh.
Positioning, hands, things like that. Have those come naturally for you over time, or?
No, didn't. I think I've learned the hard way a bit, among those years. But I've used a sports psychologist in Montreal for a few summers, and that really helped me. Talking about the stress moments and all that, and what to do to help, right? And he's the one who taught me about the breathing, the keywords, and just to be in the moment of the game, in the present.
Being able to relax like that and using a sports psychologist, Did it take you a while to sort of be comfortable? Like like, I mean, when you broke in, that might not have been something that was common. I think it's more common now.
Yeah,
Do you remember roughly when that, for you, that moment?
I think it was like 2010s, 11, 12,
Okay.
or something like that.
Like, we've seen that change. It's a good thing, no?
Yeah, and at first I wasn't inclined to go. I was like, I'm not crazy. I've done this a long time. I'll figure it out. I don't need somebody to tell me what to do. Right on the ice, like I can figure it out. And it wasn't happening every night. It wasn't happening all the time, right? So, but at some point I did. And it was Ray Shiro, my gym in Pittsburgh, that told me he should try it. Go see. And I thank him for that. And Wayne Alwell was the man I met in Montreal, and who was helping me out with it.
Is it part of it just being yourself too? Like, you talked about the nerves. Rather than hiding from them, embracing them. I've had other guys. We had Eric Comrie on recently, and he's a very outgoing personality. And for large portions of his career, he felt like he needed to suppress that rather than just be himself on a game day, right? You had to be that ultra focused guy. Did it take you a while to get comfortable with, hey, like, this is okay?
I feel like I've always been a pretty... always have loved playing the game. Always had a lot of fun. I've had times maybe in the slumps or bad moments, right? That, like, I don't know, coaches maybe want me to be more quiet, a little more when I was younger, right? And stuff like that. And I try to be more serious. I try to be more quiet and stuff, but it's not me. I wasn't comfortable, and it'll happen. Some nights I'll be quiet, right? Like I don't know, sometimes you're sick, sometimes you got stuff going on, right? Or you just don't feel like jumping around, like that happens, right? But I think most of the games, I would say, like, I love playing, and that's when I play the best. When I'm smiling, when I'm having fun, and I'm more relaxed, more loose. The hands are going, right? So that's what works for me.
We've talked about the having fun part and how important that is to you in the past, and then I think it became a focus point for people. But there's a competitive side there too. It's important not to lose sight of that as well, as being able to balance those two things.
Yeah, for sure. I don't smile when I get scored on, that's for sure, and especially that last game, I think I gave up 5-6, and I smashed my, you still smash the sticks in because you're so angry, right, inside. What's important, I always go in the game trying to win, and that's what I want. That's why it's fun. That's what it's fun, right? Like, and when I don't, I'm pissed off, and usually I try to give myself the night, and the next day come to the rink and try to be in a good mood, try to be good for the teammates, and do it all over again.
I want to go take you back a little bit. I've never asked you this question, but how did it start? How did you become a goalie? All the years I've asked you, I was worried about all these questions I've asked you in the past. 1 year here, 1 year there. I've never asked you that question.
I think I started playing like in a real league maybe I was 6, and then by 7 is me and another kid who would switch every game, playing defense, playing goalie. And then for a couple of years, and then I was goalie always full time.
What'd you love about it? Like, do you remember?
I just loved the gear. That was one thing I always loved.
Still have 6 style.
Yeah, still do. Still love it. Well, I think diving around, making saves, just not having to change to just play. Right? When you play the whole game, that was pretty cool. But just diving around, I always thought it was so much fun.
Who's your guy? Like, as you're diving around, who were you, whether it was street hockey or out on the rink?
I'd say street hockey. I was a forward most of the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, always did. But Patrick Waugh and Marty Brother, both of them I love, idolize, right? I mean, big Montreal fan. Patty was he was so good and won some cups, and I love his competitor in him, right? His competitiveness, right? And the butterfly was kind of picking up at that time too, and he was good at it, and I was starting to learn it, so that was a good model to watch and learn from. And on the other end, I think Marty, I always loved maybe his unpredictability, right? With the poke check, the 2-pad stack, the 1 knee down, you could see him smile in his mask, I went to a game one time in Montreal when I was younger, and he played Montreal, and obviously Jersey played Montreal, but and he chucked a puck to a kid, and I thought, oh, this is so cool, and I always do now because of him, right? Just saying that. And they were both obviously very two of the best goalies ever.
not bad guys to have as influences. What about coaching? You mentioned the butterfly was starting. You've had so many, like right up to Freddie now, different voices over the years. When did it start for you? And when you look at yourself then and now, what are some of the biggest differences? Because the game has changed, as has yours, and yet there's probably some things that haven't.
Yeah, man, that's a good question. I feel like very fortunate. I've got to meet and play with obviously lovely goalie coaches that have helped me different ways along my career at younger age and stuff. There's a guy back home, Stefan Menard. I was pretty young, maybe 7 or 8. Just once in a while I go practice with him. It was always a lot of shots, always like work hard, I think it brought that work ethic to me, which was good. And I don't know, I don't name it.
There's so many you don't want to miss. And we don't want to put you in that spot.
Yeah, sorry. But so many. And I'm very thankful that I've crossed paths with all of them. Like I said, most of them have taught me something and I learned something. And even goalies, I feel like you play with, like you watch them play and you talk in between periods and stuff. And sometimes you model, you play with them, right? And I think one thing that's important is to be able to adapt. For me, I think it was to change. The game has changed so much since I started, right? Started playing on the post stand up, and then it was the one knee down, and then it was the reverse VH, the overlap. You know what I mean? Like, and I use them all still, right? So
I remember you telling me in Chicago. I think was it Kevin Lankinen?
Yes.
Yeah. So and I love the fact that here you are at that point in your career, and you're still learning new things from teammates.
Yeah, it's him and Jimmy Waite, the goalie coach, right?
Yep.
Who work on it, and you got to practice a bunch to make it normal in the game, so you don't overthink it, right? And that was great to learn. And I think Goss is such a good model for the post plays, like his
The Swedes in the post play.
Oh my god, like so smooth, so easy, always on. Like it's just I'm like battling to get there in the cross. I don't know, he makes it look easy for sure.
Is that the biggest change? Like if you were to look back and reflect on, I remember talking to you coming through with Pittsburgh as a teenager in that first year. If you were to look back on style-wise, is it the post work that you think's changed the most? Like if you think of stance, any other thing that would jump out?
I think the post, it's been worked on a lot. I think the ends too, like just having most guys now you see they always have their hands in front, right? Like cutting the angles and stuff. I feel like before you play, your hands a little behind and roll them, right?
Yeah.
I think glove saves are better back here, maybe a bit, right? But
flashier.
Flashier. It's always more, but I think more effective. I think up in front.
So is that something you think has changed and evolved for you? Hands out front. You mentioned it as one of your triggers.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's something because I've learned having my hands back a bit, right? Like blocking and stuff, right? So I don't know, still trying to get in my head to get my hands up in front and stuff.
Okay, so what's the same? What has remained in your game since then? I'm going to throw one at you. Maybe it's a lost art. Like, has the poke check always been there, or is that you developed that over time?
No, always loved it. I don't know why. I started pretty young, and talking about our goalies, like Hasek was amazing right at it, and Raman Chukmatic. I don't know. There's like so many guys that I feel like used them before.
But it feels like it's a bit of a lost art now.
Yeah, it is, and it's kind of sad. I think it's so fun, and love catching guys, their heads down or coming across, sliding, and it's fun to watch, and it's fun as a goalie when you make those saves too. I think. Yeah.
And I was just gonna say unpredictability. That's as unpredictable as it gets. Yeah. What about the way things have changed in front of you? The way teams are attacking. You've seen the game change so much. What's the biggest thing in the last couple of years, and how have you had to adjust?
I think in my career, maybe the one thing is obviously the speed of the game. Everyone is contributing to the pace of the game is fast. All quick the guys are moving and the plays they make. I think the shots are different too from when my start was like wood sticks, right, or two-piece sticks, and a couple guys on teams had heavy shots. But I feel now like all 4 lines, all 60, everybody shoots the puck quick, hard, cheese, whatever they want. I think they're gotten better shooters. So I think those are the biggest difference. I think, I don't know the stats wise, but I think power plays are different too. The way that they try to use the back door more, use the seam pass more. As of before, I think it was more simple, just shot from the point, screen tips, crash the net, So So I think there's more east-west plays in general in the game. Yeah.
Have you had to adjust, like even in the last couple of years, like as the plays get so east-west, has your depth and the way you think about depth have to change?
Yeah. I think I've always been a goalie that challenged a lot. And that was hard on me. I think because I've, got coming out on the guy with the puck, right? But then they would pass it across and it was such long distance to cover. So I think being comfortable in being in the blue or on top of the blue, right? And it's something I had to try to change or improve on.
Evolutions like that at this stage of your career, do you just go out and do it in practice, or like do you work on video? Like what's the process like? Is there something maybe a young goalie could take away from the process you go through when you're making those kind of changes?
Throughout my careers, there's been a lot different style tendencies, different goalie coach, different ideas, and I give a try to everything. I try everything that they tell me or suggest to me, and see if I like it. If I do, and I'll put it in my game. If not, then I just tell them like, sorry, it doesn't work for me, right? But I think you gotta be willing to, or open-minded to change and to adapt to a new situation.
Reading the game, that's such a big part of it. Anticipation, knowing what's coming.
Yeah.
You've played obviously for so long, it's probably all innate. But how did you develop it early on? Like, is it just from experience, or again, like we hear a lot about kids that move so well, but maybe don't connect the dots and the patterns. Yeah. If you had advice to a young kid on how to learn that aspect, how would you do it?
That's a tough one, honestly. I think
because at your stage, it's just natural, right?
I think I feel like the more hockey I played, the more games, more pucks I saw, right? The more comfortable I got, with reading the eyes, the shoulders, the blades, like how they move around. But so that gives you little hints for those shots, right? But I don't know. I think it's just experience. Maybe you keep playing as much as you can, and see the team's tendencies a bit with video. I think that helps a bit.
I was just gonna say, do you still watch? Do you still watch hockey as well?
Yeah, I love hockey. I'm a big fan, so I love watching the highlights in the morning, see what kind of goals are being scored, or love watching goalies and all the big saves they make, right? I think it's always fun too, and love watching.
Is there anybody you like? If you had your choice, it's a Saturday night and you're not playing, is there anybody you love to watch? Yeah, well, no, a goalie. Is there a goalie that you love to watch these days?
Yeah.
It's probably changed over the years.
It has, but I think last few years I'm a big fan of Vasilevsky, because obviously he's very good, but he's also fun to watch. He's still so powerful, flexible. He makes those crazy save once in a while, and also it's entertaining to watch and fun to go.
Okay, we've seen you thank your posts over the years.
Yeah.
I've never asked you where that started.
Yeah, as a kid, I read in the newspaper Patrick Well would talk to his posts. I don't know if he actually did, or if he actually did it on the ice, or I don't know. So since I'm a kid, pretty much I always said a little thank you, when they make a save.
Is it in French or English?
I usually do both, just to make sure I cover. I don't know. Don't want to offend them. The net, don't know where he's from. So
you never know. Like bilingual goalie posts. Yeah, absolutely. We've talked about gear over the years, and we that the old and the new. How you blending it? Like, I've still got leather straps. You might be one of the last guys. You and Helly.
Yeah, I don't know. I have a tough time changing. I've tried new pads, new skates and stuff, the old skates too, but I don't know. For the leather straps, I just like the style. It's always been the look I had, right? And now they say you can save some weight too, right? With like Velcro straps and stuff. But I always thought if my straps are too heavy for me, I should stop playing, probably. You know what I mean? It doesn't weigh that much.
It does take a little longer to put on, though.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever thought about how many hours have probably gone into those leather straps?
Oh man, a few times. No, I haven't. I try to make it as quick as possible when I get dressed. Just get done with it.
Okay, so you're one of the last guys still wearing these skates with cowlings, and we hinted at it after we turned the camera off the other day, or we stopped recording the other day. But stopping with your heels.
Yeah.
Like you actually use the heel of your skate, and so when you tried to change into the modern one piece, there just wasn't as much steel back there.
That's what it felt like. And like I said before, I don't know. I have a hard time changing stuff. But like that was one thing that bugged me. I thought the skates were comfortable and all that, but it's just I use my heels once in a while, like especially when you're spread apart, I guess, or turning or whatever. But so I like my old ones where the still comes back a little more. I can grab some edge.
Okay, so last one. Walk me through your game day. Like if some young goalie out there wants to know how Marc-Andre Fleury gets prepared for a game, maybe even just once you get back to the rink, like what kind of things do you do to get ready?
First I should say, just find what's right for you. You know, don't, because I do it, that's right for somebody else, right?
Has yours changed and evolved over the years?
Not much, man. Okay. It's always very similar. Usually get out breakfast, a couple of eggs or whatever. Always love good breakfast, but then usually go out for a skate. Love skating most as I can in the morning. Just loosen up the hips, loosen up the gear a bit, right? Like it feels good. See a few pucks, and then if you're on the road, go back to the hotel, get some lunch, some pasta, a little soup, something like that, and usually try to get a nap, like an hour and a half nap at least, or somewhere around there, and then get up, usually get a little oatmeal, get a little tea, and on my way to the rink.
What about the eyes, warm up? We've talked about the strobe glasses before. What do you do pre-game, juggling, anything like that?
I suck at juggling. Gus is awesome. We've had a guy come into our room and work with us and stuff. I'm not learning to juggle at 40. Screw this. I'm throwing the ball on the wall, and catching it there. But yeah, I do some stuff. Usually I put the glasses that
the strobe glasses.
The strobes, yeah. So with my trainer, he would throw me some balls, and I have my glove on and catch some balls, glove blocker and stuff. So I think that helps. And usually I like to do a little eye like warm up in the locker room, just wearing clothes, figure eight, or turn your head looking straight,
So just getting their muscle, like anything. I think Braden Holby once gave me the line, eyes are a muscle, I got to warm them up like everything else.
Yeah, I think so. I just feel like after it feels more clear, more sharp a bit, and that's all I'm doing.
Okay, last one.
Yep.
What is next? Have you thought of that?
I have for a long time, and I'm still clueless. I don't know, man. It's
just to enjoy some more time with the family.
Yeah, I think that's my number one priority. Be home more. Be there for the birthday, for Halloween, or the school play. Right. I want to be there for that kind of stuff. Not miss out as much, and see what the wife want to do too. She's put a lot aside to support me and support the kids, the family, while I'm playing hockey, right? So it's only fair to see what she wants to do, and but love hockey, I probably can stick around doing a little something.
I think the game's better with Marc-Andre Fleury in it. So thank you for all the time over the years and for taking the time to do this.
Yeah, thank you. Always been a pleasure seeing you and Ben, and spend a little time together.
Now that had to be cool for you, Woody.
Yeah, I mean, this whole job is cool.
Just say yes.
Right? Yeah. Like, this whole job is
Just
cool.
say yes.
My job is, I play in the Toy Story of journalism, right? And I get to talk about something I'm passionate about with some of the best who have ever played it, right? We just ran down my favorites earlier, Luongo, Lundqvist, Brodeur, and now Marc-Andre Fleury, who is for certain, as soon as he's eligible, first ballot Hall of Famer. Do not pass go, do not collect $200. You are in the Hockey Hall of Fame. So a chance to sort of spend some time with him during his last two visits to Vancouver. I actually made the drive down to Seattle to get more time with him after one of their practices. And this is the difficult thing, and there's a lesson here. Even though he wasn't playing at either of those stops, finding time with him was not easy, because even on a game day, at this stage of his career, when Philip Gustafsson was starting, Flower still stayed out there for like an extra half an hour, not just to be a target and to be a great teammate for the shooters who were healthy scratches that night, but working on his game with Freddie Chabot as part of that. And so to see that dedication as it winds down after all he's accomplished, to hear him talk about learning new things. My favorite was Kevin Lankinen teaching him an overlap when he was in Chicago after he had 3 Stanley Cups and a Vezina trophy, learning from the guys he played with, no matter how much experience, like you'd think they'd be looking for notes from him, but he was still willing to try new things from them. So many lessons from Marc-Andre Fleury, and I'm glad we had a chance to catch up with him towards the end of his last season in a remarkable NHL career.
Staying out at the end of practice. I wonder if there's a little just soaking it all in part of that.
Maybe, but honestly, I mean, the only thing that was soaked was him afterwards, and me just from watching it, right? Like just the work ethic. And again, I've said this story before too. Henrik Lundqvist coming in on the second end of a back-to-back for the New York Rangers late in his career. Me going to the rink expecting that nobody would be there. There being a handful of skaters and Henrik Lundqvist not just going through his full routine, but absolutely competing on every puck and every drill. There are lessons there, and I think you get to that point of your career and you get to a career that lasts this long because of that passion for the position and willingness and desire to constantly work at it. So maybe, Darren, maybe there was a little bit of that, but all I saw was full gas, no breaks work ethic as late as the last few weeks of the season out of Marc-Andre Fleury.
I suspect that's as much a love for the game as a willingness to work hard. So many people think that you just have to grind and have this ability to overcome that thing that keeps most of us back. And I think in the case of guys like Fleury and Lundqvist and so many others who make it there, it's not that they have that discipline to work harder than everybody else. It's that they love the game so much that they inevitably work harder than everybody else. Now you can layer in some great discipline too on top of that, I have no doubt. But let's not forget, one of the greatest things that he has taught all of us is that you can go out there and have fun and compete.
Last goalie in the NHL to play last puck even when he was starting. Yeah, we've had stories about it before. We talked with him about it in that interview you just heard, as well as over the years. Having fun was core to his career and the longevity of it. And there was early lessons from his dad about that when he went away to junior. Are you having fun? As long as you're still having fun, stick with it. And they stuck with him throughout.
2018, that was the first episode. That's crazy.
It was. I was looking it up while we were talking too.
I knew you would try and catch me on something.
I couldn't find it. I actually found an old email between the three of us setting up episode 0.
Our tester.
Remember we published it, but we did a little sample one just between the three of us that we called episode 0.
In looking over the episodes from the past, we used to do some listener questions early on. Kind of got away from that. Maybe bring that back along the way.
For our feature guests, you mean? Or for us?
Well, no, for us. If people got questions, and we bounce back and forth. You guys are great with responding to them individually, but maybe bringing some of those questions on air with us and responding.
I remember in the early days, and one of the reasons maybe we got away from it is we tried to target those listener questions and set up answers from other people in the game. So I can remember having a conversation with Eli Wilson. I remember Maria Mountain coming on to answer some of those listener questions. And we probably got away from it just because we have so many things going on and it's such a challenge. But Darren, I think you're quite right. It's something we need to do. So hit us up. podcast@ingoalmag.com.
What was the best part of that?
Darren just wanted the deep voice.
Deep voice. Okay, they're eating all the food. I hate to wrap it up.
That's all the retired guys.
I know, exactly. They're all over there. You can. It's like a party. Everybody ends up in the kitchen. Everybody's over by the food. Love to go over and chat with a little bit because I do want to chat with Turco. And remember, Talis needs a ride over
to the hockey shop.
The hockey shop.
To the hockey shop.
Right.
Cam.
He hasn't been to the new location. That's what he was talking about.
Yeah, Cam should be able to help him out.
Well, sure. And Cam just keeps walking like by the slider door, like as if
we're going to invite him in.
Call him in. Yeah, it's so funny. He's walked. I bet you he's walked by 12 times.
He's the e-bug of the InGoal Radio podcast.
Yeah, Cam. Like, and look, if you look at that door for 5 minutes, you'll see him even just glance over, like, "Hey, you guys need Cam? Hey, you get enough airtime."
You brought up a good point, though. 300 episodes, we've never had an e-bug come in. We've flown with just two of us for a whole bunch of episodes, but have we ever had one of us unavailable and brought an e-bug in? And I don't mean interviewing an NHL e-bug, because we had Justin Goldman on the show before, and he's been an e-bug. I just need somebody to sit in one of these chairs.
Was
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. So maybe one day we need to call the e-bug in, get that guy running down the street in Surrey, BC to Kevin's house with his equipment bag over his shoulder.
Well, after this, we'll have lots of volunteers because people will be wanting to come to the 400 episode party with this kind of
huge
showing. Awesome. Hey, congratulations, you guys. And thank you to the listeners as well. Without this, it's nothing. And I mean that sincerely. It's not just a podcast that's talking about something that we love. Your interaction and your stories about the journey along the way and what you learn from us and how we learn from you. It really is interactive, and it makes one of the great things about doing this. You guys are awesome too, Woody, Hutch. Love you.
At a loss.
Love you too, brother.
I'm going to get food. Talk to you next week, episode 301 on InGoal Radio, the podcast presented by The Hockey Shop, Source for Sports Langley, and thehockeyshop.com. Cam, you're done.